Hi everyone, welcome to your mid-unit quiz day homework. So today's homework is getting you ready for the next part of our unit, which is about inequalities. And so this will be a really important thing for you to practice as you get ready for the next part, because it'll help to make sure that if there's any gaps that you have, that you'll be able to address those now. So the first part is just using greater than or less than signs. So this one is your less than sign, this one is your greater than sign. 5 is less than 10, and you read it from left to right. 5 is greater than negative 10. Negative 5 and negative 10. So with the negative numbers, a lot of times people get confused. And so what I strongly suggest is that you make a number line. If 0 is here, this would be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, and so forth. Negative 10 would all be all the way down here, which means that actually, even though negative 5 is a smaller number than 10, 5 is more positive, and therefore negative 5 is greater than negative 10 because it's further up on the number line, closer to 0 in the negative side. Similarly with fractions, if our denominator is smaller, then that means that this fraction is actually greater, right? Because 1/5 represents 20% or 0.2, and 1/10 represents 0.10, 0.1. And so this one is greater than this one. All right, and then the inverse is also true down here because this is negative 0.2 and this is negative 0.1. And so in this case, this is more negative, this negative 0.2. And so we are going to say that that is less than negative 0.1. I should put zeros there. Okay? All right. And again, when you're in doubt, like draw a number line and see where it is. And if it is further up on the number line, then it's more greater. If it's further down on the number line, then it's less than. All right. Part B. So this is some scenarios. Elena and Lynn are planning some cold weather camping and studying jackets and sleeping bags. Here's what they learn about some different equipment. A down jacket is rated as comfortable when the temperature is between negative 20 and 20. A down sleeping bag is rated as comfortable when the temperature is negative 20 or above. A synthetic sleeping bag is rated as comfortable when the temperature is 20 Fahrenheit degrees or above. What are two examples of temperatures that are comfortable for the down jacket? So two examples are any numbers between negative 20 and 20. So for example, 10 degrees would be a comfortable number for the jacket. 5 degrees, negative 10 degrees, but anything that is in between negative 20 and 20. For which gear would a temperature of negative 16.5 be comfortable? So negative 16.5 is greater than negative 20, and so that would either be the down jacket or down sleeping bag. The synthetic sleeping bag would not be comfortable because that's only for if it is 20 degrees or higher. Positive 20 degrees or higher. Is it possible to list all the temperatures for which the down jacket is comfortable? Explain your reasoning. So we could list lots of numbers between negative 20 and 20, but it's not possible to list all. No, because there are many numbers in between negative 20 and 20. So yes, we could say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but there's also like 2.3216 degrees, right? And so for us to list out every single number between those numbers is going to be quite impossible. Number 4, which item's comfort rating matches each inequality? So X is greater than or equal to 20. So let's go back. That would be our synthetic sleeping bag because it's 20 degrees or above. So synthetic, I'm going to abbreviate, synthetic sleeping bag. Where X is, so this one's interesting because it's written as negative 20 is less than or equal to X. That means that X is greater than or equal to negative 20, right? And so what would be greater than or equal to negative 20? that would be the down sleeping bag. And then it says where X is between negative 20 and 20, that would be our down jacket. All right, number 5. Here are 5 graphs of inequalities. Match each graph to a situation in this activity. So negative 20 degrees and up, we know, matches the synthetic, not the synthetic, negative 20. Negative 20 degrees and higher would be the down sleeping bag. This one is 20 degrees or higher, which we know that one is the synthetic sleeping bag. The next one is showing between negative and 20, so this is the down jacket. This is saying if it's less than negative 20 degrees. Do we have a situation in which any of these items would be good for less than negative 20 degrees? No, not really, right? There isn't really anything that we're like, okay, yeah, that would be really good. So that's not in our situation. And then above 20 degrees, we have a synthetic sleeping bag here is above 20 degrees. So that could also be this one. The reason actually that E doesn't work as well, so we had synthetic sleeping bag for B, right? But it says 20 or above. And so that could mean it could be 20, and this is an open circle. So remember that open circle means it does not include that number. So actually this one also doesn't really match with anything nicely. The one we would be most tempted to do is the synthetic sleeping bag, but it doesn't actually work because that circle is not filled in. All right, are there any temperatures at which the sleeping bags and the jacket would all be comfortable? So let's see. If we were to look at 20 degrees, that's the only thing that works for the synthetic sleeping bag, right? And it says that a down sleeping bag is for negative 20 or above, so that would include 20. And the down jacket is between these. So if we assume that the down jacket can handle up to 20 degrees, it might be a little warm, but 20 degrees is kind of that number that borders all of them. All right, or is included in all of them. Part C, for each statement, write an inequality to represent it. If a variable is used, be prepared to explain what it represents. So you don't actually have to write out what it means, but let's say, for example, we want to use pencils, right? So Han has 5 pencils and Andre has 8. So let's say we want to say Han equals 5. That's how many pencils Han has, and Andre has 8. Noah has more books than Kieran. So we might say Noah's is greater than Kieran's, as an example. For number 1, if we have to write an inequality, we could also say 5 is less than 8, right? Or 8 is greater than 5. That would also be fine. For number 3, Claire has more than $200 in her savings. So savings is greater than 200. The most the mechanic will charge, the most, meaning the limit, is $60. So charge is less than or equal to 60. It could be 59, it could be 58, but it couldn't be 70, right? So it's less than or equal to 60. Diego scored 1,200 points in a game, breaking the record for highest score. All right, so if he scored 1,200 points and that was the highest ever score, that is greater than or equal to, or sorry, not greater than or equal to, just greater than, because he beat the record, right? So greater than the highest score, for example. Or you could say the highest score has less than 1,200. Jada is younger than Tyler, so J is less than T. You could also say T is greater than J. Animal world has at least 400 different species of animals. So animals is at least 400. It could be more, but not less. And at least means that there could be 400, so that's included, so a greater than or equal to. Number 8, Mai's bowling score is more than Claire's and Hans combined. So Mai's bowling score is greater than Claire's plus Hans. All right. This last piece right here is having you, sorry, not the last piece, but the last piece on this page, is having you solve each inequality and graph its solution. So this is when we solve inequalities, we're solving them the same way we solve equalities, right? Equations. The only thing is different that it's different. If we divide a negative coefficient, then we have to switch our sign. That's the only thing that's different. So when we want to solve this, we have 3 is less than negative 5n plus 2n is going to be negative 3n. And so when I divide by negative 3, we're going to end up with negative 1 is greater than n, or n is less than negative 1. So it is less than, so it's an open circle, and we're graphing this way. Okay? For number 2, again, I'm going to combine like terms, so 12x plus 2 is less than 14. Subtract 2 from both sides. Now notice I'm not dividing, I'm subtracting, so I'm not flipping any signs yet. So 12x is less than 12. Divide both sides by 12, and x is less than 1. So here we would draw 1, open circle because it's not, or equal to, it's not included. Okay? All right. Negative p and negative 4p is negative 5p is greater than negative 10. So here I am dividing by a negative, and so when I do that, I'm going to flip my sign and make it p is less than 2. All right, because a negative divided by a negative gives us a positive, so 2 and p is less than 2. All right. This is going to be 9k, so 18 is greater than or equal to 9k. Divide both sides by 9, we get 2 is greater than or equal to k, or k is less than or equal to 2. So this time we are going to fill in our circle, and oops, I said it's less than or equal to, so I'm going to go down. All right. I'm going to skip number 5. You can do that on your own. Number 6. Here we have distributive properties, so I have to do that first. Negative 3, and then negative 6 times 4 is negative 24x. Negative 6 times positive 6 is negative 36, is greater than negative 111. All right, so negative 3 and negative 36 can be combined, and that equals negative 39. So we have negative 24x equals, oh, sorry, not equals, not yet. Negative 24x minus 39 is greater than negative 111. Add 39 to both sides. 33, there you go. And we get negative 24x is greater than, negative 111 plus 39 is going to give us negative 72. So now here I am going to divide both sides by a negative, by negative 24. And so this sign is going to flip. And so it's going to be x is less than, and then negative 72 divided by negative 24 is going to be positive 3. So here, and it's an open sign because it's not or equal to. Okay? All right. So the key point for this is when we divide by a negative, we have to change the sign, flip the sign. Particularly when we divide, okay? That's it. When we divide by a negative sign. All right. So this is giving you some examples of inequalities, and you need to figure out what they did wrong and fix them. So for this first one, they added 2 to both sides. That's not what we want to do. So the correction would be 6x minus 4 is greater than negative 2. We're going to add 4 to both sides. And this will then give us 6x is greater than positive 2. Divide both sides by 6. X is greater than 1/3. Okay, and then so you can write 1/3 it's greater than, so open circle and to the right. All right, our next one, looking at this, they have a negative here, so they had to distribute, and they did that correctly. So minus 3x plus 4, because a negative times a negative becomes a positive. And then it looks like they combined 2 and 4 and made it 6. So that looks great there. And then what they did here is they added x to both sides. So that left negative 6, that's fine, is less than or equal to 6 minus 2x. And so here is where we see that there is a problem. They subtracted 6 from both sides here, which made it 0 here. And then negative 6 minus negative 6 should be negative 12. So that's where they made the mistake. So let's start from that point. So negative 6 is less than or equal to 6 minus 2x. If we subtract 6 on both sides, this is 0, this is negative 2x, and this is negative 12. So we divide both sides by negative 2, and we will get x is greater than or equal to 6. But because we divided by a negative, I have to also flip the sign. So this reads as x is less than or equal to 6. Mark a 6, fill in the dot, and graph it to the left. All right, let's look down below at the next two. In this one here, they multiplied, and they went ahead and they distributed. So that looks good so far. And then they added 7x to both sides. But if you notice, they really only added 7x on this one side here. And so they didn't add it to the right side here. So let's start from there. So 2x minus 8 minus 7x is less than 37. They should have first combined these two to make it negative 5x minus 8 is less than 37. Now we can add 8. Second, we can add 8 to both sides. And we'll get negative 5x is less than 45. We're going to divide by a negative, so our sign is going to flip. And again, you can just mark negative 9, and it's greater than or equal to, so it's going, oh, it's actually just greater than, so let's be careful there. Open circle and to the right. All right, you try this one on your own, okay? Be very careful for this one. I'm going to give you the hint. Look at the sign. Be careful with that sign, and then go ahead and if you just do it here yourself, you'll be able to see what mistake they made. All right, that's it for your homework. Again, it's a review of inequalities. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I also strongly encourage you to do iReady or Zearn lessons over the weekend to help you make sure that you feel really good about systems of equations. Your code word for today will be salt and vinegar. Salt and vinegar. See you on Tuesday.